There's a dirty little secret about dismissive avoidance that you probably don't know. And that is that at their core, they think that there's something wrong with them, not you. They have this defective core wound. And this core wound makes it nearly impossible for them to have a healthy relationship with you or with anybody, including the relationship they have with themselves. So in this video, I'm going to explore 5 phrases that, like an internal dialogue that the dismissive avoidant tells himself when they're inside of a relationship or when they're struggling in a relationship or when things are coming to an end. So stay tuned to the end. This will be a quick video and it'll help you get inside the mind of your dismissive avoidant ex. Because I understand, seeing client after client, that the first thing is you want to understand what just happened. There's a human need to understand what you just went through and what you experienced. And then from there, the healing process begins. So if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a mindset mastery coach, transformational hypnotherapist, and attachment style specialist. And I bring you videos on attachment styles, how to heal from them. And I also include some guided hypnosis audios on a lot of my videos. So you definitely want to stay tuned to the end because sometimes I'll just sneak one of those in. And the feedback that I've been receiving from those videos, by the way, is super positive. So if you guys want more of those, let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you want more of, and I'm happy to produce that. Okay, so let's get started. The number one phrase of an internal dialogue of a dismissive avoidant is, drum roll, I'm just not cut out for relationships. Now, this is a conversation or phrase, an internal dialogue that they've been telling themselves probably since the inception of time. I'm just not cut out for this. Other people are good at this, quote unquote, whatever that means to be good at relationships, because relationships are so varied and everyone has their own styles, their communication styles, their needs, their attachment styles, their love language, but they tell themselves that they're just not good at this. And really what's underneath that is shame. It's that defective core wound that I came out of the factory wrong. It's more than just, I am not enough. This is a deeper wound. This is a different wound than the I'm not enough wound. This is the wound of I am not enough as I am. Therefore, I need to tell myself X, Y, Z in order for my life to make sense and in order for me not to feel like a failure inside of my relationships. The dismissive avoidant partner will go through relationship after relationship and partner after partner, thinking they're going to find the perfect one, except that perfect one doesn't exist. They need to become the perfect one within themselves, as we all do. And I know that sounds cliche, or for some of you, it might even sound like some spiritual bypassing. But the truth is, until you really truly like yourself, beyond loving yourself, can you like yourself? Can you accept yourself as you are? Quirks and all, weirdness and all. If you cannot do that, if you cannot sit with yourself for 15 minutes, for an hour, then that's your homework. That's where you start in the healing process. Even though it looks like a dismissive avoidant is just at peace with their alone time and their aloneness, there's a lot of internal turmoil and struggle and strife that they just don't let anybody see. The number two phrase that a dismissive avoidant will tell themselves, the internal dialogue, they're better off without me. In other words, me being in their life is more of a hindrance. It creates more problems than it does solutions. They're very solution-oriented people. A lot of times they're very logical, analytical, and they try to think their way out of things. So I'll even have clients, I'm very analytical myself, and I'll have clients come to me who are highly analytical. And I love it because it's like we're putting the pieces of the puzzle back together. We're solving this puzzle together. And for dismissive avoidance, they've learned to compartmentalize even better than most people, right? A lot of men tend to compartmentalize. So they've learned to compartmentalize even better than most men, let's say. Better than women, we tend to not compartmentalize as much because we've got a million browsers open at once. It's just kind of the nature of the feminine and the masculine. But they've really learned to compartmentalize in order for them to feel as little pain as possible. Remember, sort of their MO is don't be vulnerable, because vulnerability equals weakness. Vulnerability means I can be attacked. And oftentimes, I'm going to do a bonus. This isn't number 3. This is just a bonus phrase that just came to me. You're attacking me. They think that when you come to them with a plea for connection, that you're attacking them. They feel like their character is attacked. Or they might say to you, how come what I do isn't enough? It's just never enough. And all you're asking for is maybe for them to, I don't know, like put the toilet seat down, or something ridiculous, something so small and minute. Or maybe you're saying like, hey, maybe just cook dinner for me once in a while. I'm just throwing out things off the top of my head. But for them, again, because they have this wall of shame, there's an avoidant wall of shame around them. They feel like you're attacking them. And you cannot move forward in a relationship when someone constantly feels like they're being attacked, especially when they're not actually being attacked and you're just trying to start a dialogue and you're trying to come to a resolution, but you're bringing something that bothers you to light in order to work it out together, right? The dismissive avoidant, even though on the surface it can seem like they want to work things out, what they actually want to do is avoid and hide and dismiss and ignore. So shove it under the rug, right? And just leave it there and let's not talk about it. All right, let's move on to number 3. I like being alone. I love my alone time. I'm independent. Okay. Or you might find in a dating profile, I'm wildly independent. I'm fiercely independent, right? And it's like, are you? Or is that just a tactic for you to keep people at arm's length? That is the avoidant wall. Somebody who feels the need to tell you they're fiercely independent rather than just showing you, look how independent I am, look how happy I am on my own. It's sort of like when someone says, I'm a really good person. Well, you could just show people that through your actions. We don't need to tell people that, right? So it's always sort of like an eye-opener when someone says, well, I'm fiercely independent. You're automatically putting that wall up between you and that potential love interest, and you're basically already pushing that person away because now that person feels like, ooh, I have to climb over that wall to get to this person because they're so independent. You're basically telling the person, I don't have time for you. My resources, are better spent elsewhere. My energy is better spent elsewhere. You're not really allowing in any sort of vulnerability or true intimate connection. And you're starting that right off the bat saying, hey, I'm really independent. And a lot of times people see that as a challenge. And oftentimes that's my anxious attachers. It's a challenge to you. Ooh, I'm going to get that person. I'm going to be the exception to the rule. Except typically you're not the exception to the rule. And what's going to happen is you're going to just come up against that avoidant wall and feel so incredibly frustrated, so incredibly maybe angry, heartbroken, sad, dismissed, ignored, etc. So not a good idea. If when they tell you or they tell themselves that they like being alone, what they're really saying is, I'm wildly afraid of being vulnerable. Because the strongest thing we can do is be vulnerable, is admit our flaws and our faults. Right? Where we've been, where we've messed up, right? The things we might have done differently, the people we've hurt, admitting our mistakes and admitting that we aren't as strong as we seem. Because on the surface, a DA will appear very strong, very fortified, but they're not. They're actually very, very fragile inside. Number 4, no one will ever just accept me as I am. So in other words, I have to put on this stoicism. They're masters at stoicism. I have to put on this facade in order to get people to accept me because no one's going to accept the true me because the true me is weak. And this is, again, that vulnerability factor. They think that the true them is weak, like a weakling. And if I show that I'm upset or I show that I'm hurt or I show that I'm, scared, then people are going to use that against me. So again, it's about fortifying that avoidant wall. And I know you guys can feel it because it's like a force field. It's like a magnetic force field around the DA. You cannot penetrate that wall, nor should you try to. As my ex-husband said, that is not your job. That is my job to basically take down that wall so that nobody has to scale it. That's his work, right? That he's hopefully doing. I don't know. That's his work to do. It was never my job to try to tear that wall down. you will exhaust yourself, abandon yourself. You will give yourself illness, fatigue. You will absolutely kill yourself trying to fix and heal somebody else. So just don't do it. Work on fixing and healing yourself and ask yourself, why do I feel the need to fix and heal others? Or why do I like the challenge of somebody that's clearly showing me and telling me that they're really not available for a relationship, for a true connection? Those are the questions to start asking yourself today. And lastly, number 5, if I tell them how I really feel, they'll use it against me. If I'm really honest and open and raw with my feelings and vulnerable, that it's going to somehow, my words will get used against me. And they'll say, see, you used that against me. But sometimes they'll put you in these impossible situations where they reveal a secret and you're kind of stunned or shocked. And then they'll go, see, that's why I can't trust anybody. That's why I don't open up, And you're going, well, you kind of shocked me with that one. What kind of a reaction did you expect me to have, right? So oftentimes I hear that when I'm working with clients. And I've also experienced that in my marriage. A shocking secret. And then I had a shocked effect, right? I was affected by what was said to me and I had questions about it. And it really made me wonder about certain things. And it's like I felt like I wasn't allowed to have that response. Like I was just supposed to accept what happened, but there were questions and I needed answers to those questions. So a DA oftentimes in a relationship or marriage will create sort of cloudiness, like this lack of clarity. And when you try to obtain clarity, that's when they'll say, oh, you're attacking me. And you're like, no, I'm actually just trying to get to the bottom of this. What are you really saying here? What does this really mean? They're often vague. They'll use vague statements on purpose in order to keep you at arm's length and to make sure that they maintain that proper distance. The other thing they feel is if they tell you how they really feel, they're afraid that they're going to appear weak, both in their own eyes and then outwardly to you. Remember, like I said earlier, they always want to appear strong. So these have been 5 phrases, 5 things that the dismissive avoidant will say in a relationship or when things are sort of breaking apart in order to convince themselves that they're making the right decision and also in order to keep up that avoidant wall so that nobody can really get close to them. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to work with me, my books are open for 15-minute discovery calls. They're free. And there's a link below in the description box. That's the first step to working with me. You'll book a free discovery call. We'll see if we're a good match and a good fit and how I can help you, how I can support you, healing from this heartache, healing from this devastation, getting rid of the ruminating thoughts, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, and stepping beyond the need to know why, stepping beyond the need to understand the DA and getting way, way, way beyond that to understand your own patterns and behaviors and cycles so that you start making healthier choices in love and you start feeling more at peace within yourself. Take good care, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.